Hi, my name is Amanda Panacea, and you're listening to the Healer Revolution podcast. This is a community for self-healers, biohackers, practitioners, and any other helping professionals. You're in the right place if you're seeking conversations about how pain becomes passion, the connection between physical, energetic, mental, and our spiritual self, finding your body's ancient wisdom, the latest biohacking technologies, clinical research, and if you just want to nerd out about complex biochemistry and quantum physics. But this is also for entrepreneurs who seek infinite abundance and a supportive community. So pour a cup of King coffee or Sisters tea and let's join the revolution. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of the Healer Revolution podcast. I am your host, Amanda Panacea, and today I am here with Jen Murczek, and I'm super excited to speak with her about a company that is just blowing up in the skincare industry. Jen is a functional nutritional therapy practitioner, and she specializes in helping people feel more vibrant and getting back to the way they felt in their 20s. And even more niche down is even women in perimenopause, and what we're going to talk about today with a really good specialty in skincare. So hi, Jen. How are you today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, Amanda.
Yeah, and I wanted to have you on the podcast because we kind of, knew each other from various circles in the Instagram community of health and wellness. And you had reached out to me about this skincare company, and you were the first that reached out to me. And then a million other women reached out to me. So I was a little suspicious about it because, as something just gains in popularity so quickly like that, your red flag suspicion meters are kind of on. So that's why I wanted to have you on, to kind of clear up some of the maybe myths out there and just really about this company and about really truly how amazing it is. Because this was back in the beginning of the year, I think like January or February, when I decided to try it. And again, it's a skincare company, so I was very skeptical because I, of course, went through topical steroid withdrawal, mast activation, and I had rashes all over my entire body, including my face. So I didn't really have a lot of faith in it, honestly. So I would like to give you the floor just to go into a little bit of background as to the history of this company and why it's different than everything else out there. And without further ado, the company is Oliveda. Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah, the actual company is Olive Tree People, and then the brand of skincare is Oliveda. Yeah, and then we also have the LA Dope line that goes under Olive Tree People. Yeah, yeah, it was interesting because I sat down and was trying to think of people that I really wanted to try this product, and you came to mind because I knew of your struggle, your health struggles, and obviously your skin struggles, but I was really nervous not on talking to you about the products, but to see if the products would work at the capacity that you needed them to, right? And so I was like, well, I need to know if this is truly healing, because I felt the change immediately with my skin. And then, a month into it, 2 months into it, I'm like, okay, there's something unique and something different about this product, and you can feel it right away. And, we've come to learn that it's the hydroxytyrosol that comes from the olive leaf extract. And so, you just want me to kind of get into the history of the company?
Yeah, all of it. So
Okay.
why waterless? Because that's their big tagline, waterless beauty or waterless skincare.
Yeah.
Why is that important? And what the heck is hydroxytyrosol?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just thankful I can say it now, because
Yeah.
before I was like, hang on, I got to get the bottle so I can read it and break it down. But yeah, so, let's answer that first question, like why waterless and what does that mean? And then, when you look at some of our ingredients, it says water. And so then that really confuses a lot of people and is like, we're trying to be deceptive, and it's really not. So one of the things that drew me to this company, and something that always bothered me about other products, because being a nutritionist, when you read labels, you know that the first ingredient makes up the majority of that product, right? And so when I would look at my skincare, water was always the first ingredient, but it was in every skincare that I looked at. So I just assumed that's what you're going to get. And then I had noticed from the beginning that olive tree people had something else as their first ingredient. And so when I dove in and just kind of investigated what that was, and because it says, hey, we're waterless beauty, I found out that water being listed as the first ingredient made up 70% of the product. And so then that infuriated me. I knew water was going to make up a lot. I didn't realize it was going to be that much. And then when you have water as a first ingredient, it's typically distilled water, and you're going to need more preservatives. So now you have water, more preservatives, and then typically refined oils that make up traditional skincare, even if it's organic and clean. And what I have come to learn is Olive Tree People replaces water with the olive leaf extract, which comes obviously from the olive leaves from our wild mountain olive trees. And then so that's what makes up 70% of our product. Then we use the Arbequina oil in some of our products instead of the refined oils. And then obviously the fragrances and the other things that we finish for like 1-2% in the product. And so I think that's what makes this product really unique. So that is how we are waterless. We do have water on our label. I'm trying to kind of stay on track because there's a lot of avenues you can go with this, but we do have water on our label, and that's because the water is extracted out of the leaf. And when this happens in a product that comes from Europe, which is, I haven't even had a chance to say this, but our product is from Europe. It's from Germany, and our olive groves, which I had a chance to visit back in May, are in Spain. So that's why I tell you this, why this is important, is because now we are governed by the EU regulations versus the FDA and US regulations, which a lot of people understand now, thankfully, that EU has a stricter standard than the US regulations. And so, for example, when the olive leaf is crushed, water is extracted out. And because this water is extracted out, it has to be listed as an ingredient in our product. It's not additional water added to the product. So now let's back up for a second, because I know we'll come back to some of that labeling because I want to take a deeper dive into that. But what makes the olive leaf so special is that it is 3,000 times more concentrated with hydroxytyrosol than olive oil. Now, the majority of people know the huge benefits of olive oil in a Mediterranean diet for heart health and just general health. I don't want to make any health claims, but just for general overall health, right? It's been long documented. Well, the secret weapon is a polyphenol called hydroxytyrosol, which can only be found in olive trees. So the olive leaf and the olives, which is now what makes up the majority of our products. So with the hydroxytyrosol being 3,000 times stronger with the in the leaf than the olives, then what that does is it makes the products really, really bioactive and allows it to work really effectively. So a lot of people are noticing you only need a drop or two of our serums to get the results, right? Like I'm sure you're like this. Well, maybe not you because you're pretty cautious about what you put on, but like when I first used the soap, I was like 1, 2, 3 squirts. Okay, rub it. I'm like, oh, this is too much. All I need is 1 squirt, you know? So for me, I love the fact that you purchase these beautiful products and they last a long time, but they're also, you can feel it working on your face. So yeah, the hydroxytyrosol, getting back to that too, it's a polyphenol, and it's actually the number 1 polyphenol in the world. And when you look at the ORAX charts, which is the oxidative reactive chart. There's something I'm missing in there.
Yeah. I don't know.
There's a chart there, and like vitamin C is here, right?
Yeah.
And hydroxytyrosol is way up here. Like it blows vitamin C out of the water. So when you're looking for things that are going to support you, like berries and vitamin C, you're going to want hydroxytyrosol, whether it's internal or external. And so, getting into a little bit of the history of the company, Thomas, our founder, he had experienced a health crisis like a lot of us have, and utilized olive oil to help cure him. What he had, he doesn't indulge because then we're making health claims, but it helped cure him, and he was
Quote,
so
quote unquote cure.
cure. Yeah, yeah. He helped.
Remission.
Yeah, put it in remission. Yep, sorry, I can't use cure. He was just better, right?
Yeah.
And he was so blown away by the olive oil and the benefits from them. I'm trying to be cautious.
So
It's important.
was he using the olive oil from these olive trees?
No, so this was before he even purchased his first olive grove,
Mhm.
and he was blown away by the olive oil, and because of this, he wanted to purchase an olive grove so he can make his own olive oil. And he wanted the olive groves to be beside orange trees, so then the olive oil would have a hint of that orange flavor. But they were never able to find a grove that was close enough that would have that. But to this day, we have over 30,000 olive trees and several groves. But when he purchased the first grove, around that time he had learned from one of the local women that exactly what we were just talking about, that the olive leaves are a lot more potent than
Mhm.
the actual olive oil. And so he got to thinking, and it's actually kind of funny because he made himself a treehouse up in the olive groves, which we all got to sit on and experience. It actually does exist, but he came up with the idea of making an internal, an ingestible like tincture almost to so that other people could experience this from the olive leaves instead of
Mhm.
the olive oil, because obviously it's 3 times stronger. And so that's when he came up with our first ingestible product, the IL-1. So his first product wasn't even skincare.
Mhm.
Now in the US, and his livelihood is probably now a lot more skincare, but at that time, after he was seeing results on this, he knew that our skin was our largest organ. And if it worked on the inside, it had to work on the outside. So
Yeah.
that's why he went down the route of skincare. And when he did, he found out that 70% of organic, pharmaceutical grade, whatever you want to name the conventional skincare, had water listed as the first ingredient. And so he knew that he had something special with hydroxytyrosol, and that's where Oliveda was created. And then from there, we're now over, I believe, 83 products. And the cool thing is, this company has been around in Europe for 20 years. So they celebrated last fall, I think it was last fall, 20 years birthday in Europe, and has been retail stores and then used in spas. So um Oliveda is spa grade because it's corrective, and it helps obviously like rosacea, it'll help with that, just like some of the other higher end spa grades.
Yeah.
Typically it has to be almost therapeutic for it to get into a spa. And so when he decided to come across the States, he was here prior to, you know, prior to
The C
1990
word.
or 2019. Yeah, I'm trying not to get you flagged. So he showed up
Thanks.
and was launching into spas, and maybe a little affiliate marketing with some influencers, and then everything shut down. And so he had to pivot, but he didn't know what he was going to do. He was just going to wait it out because that's what his stores in Germany were doing. And he decided that or somebody said, hey, have you looked at the direct sales model? And at that point, he hadn't heard about it. And he just did all the research on that. And he loved the idea of that. So what's awesome is Oliveda is only like, I want to say 14 months old in the US, which is such an amazing opportunity because you have this new company, new to the US, but 20 years of efficacy over in Europe, having amazing reviews. I believe it's 84% retention rate with products on returns, which is phenomenal. And then you bring it across to the US and we're still a baby company. And I think that's all of what I was just explaining is why this company and the products have exploded. And people are going to be tired of hearing about it
Yes.
because it's going to be on everyone's feed. It's going to be part of everyone's conversation. And I just think it's truly, I always tell everybody, it's a unicorn of a company and unicorn of products. And yeah, it just blows me away with that.
Yeah. Thank you so much for going into that much detail. I think that'll help understand why it's blowing up so much, not just because it's brand new, but because there is that 20-year history.
Mhm.
And the fact that it is really stands out as a different model for skincare in general. So, of course, with my suspicions, when I first wanted to try it, I was really worried about anything essential oil related, because usually my
Mhm.
skin really didn't like that. But to my surprise, it actually had the opposite effect. And I think that that's where people get duped a lot with marketing is you see all these massively huge promises. And even in like clinical research, look, this had an effect in our research population, but then you get it and it's not enough to really notice. Whereas with
Mhm.
Oliveda, it really seems like people notice right away, like the potency of the olive leaf amongst some of the other products, like we'll talk about with like the Botox in a bottle.
Mhm.
They really make a noticeable difference. Like sometimes when you look at before and afters with skincare, you're like, I can't tell a difference. But with these before and afters, it seems to be really extreme. The other thing I wanted to mention is that in my practice, I use bioenergetics and we test for all sorts of different types of products. And one of the products that is probably the most, well, there's a lot of products that are very well tested. Like they come up for lots of people handle them really well. They handle a broad spectrum of different symptoms and they help to balance all sorts of aspects of the body. And one of those is olive leaf extract. So
Awesome.
I had been using it as an internal from a different company for a really long time, just knowing that it definitely helped anything from gut issues, immune dysregulation, skin issues, you name it. Olive leaf comes up for so many different, or olive leaf extract comes up for so many different reasons. So that makes sense with the polyphenols that are in the actual tincture.
Yeah, it's interesting being an FNTP, I help people with supplements as well. And I'll do a form of muscle testing where the individual put the supplement on their tongue and I'll press on certain points and they'll respond whether or not it brings down a level of discomfort. And olive leaf extract, like you mentioned, is in so many supplements, that when we are going through quote unquote root cause scenarios, that is super beneficial for people. So to me, it wasn't a surprise that
Yeah.
olive leaf, but I didn't know the capacity of what the olive leaf could do for people, right? And then you bring up the before and afters. If I didn't know some of these people, I would be like, man, I don't believe you. Right?
Yeah.
Like because their skin tone has changed and then their wrinkles have decreased and then their eyes have gotten really bright. That was the first thing I had noticed. And being a health practitioner, I think you can resonate with this. When people become healthier, their eyes lighten and they become brighter. And so there's one or two girls, ladies that I know, and I see their before, and I'm like, okay, I knew you then. And now I might walk past them, right? Because they're more vibrant is probably the best way to say it. So
Mhm.
yeah, the olive leaf is really, really special. And I think that comes back to A couple of things, obviously, just hydroxytyrosol in itself. But what makes our groves really special is that they are wild mountain groves. They're eco certified, so there's been no pesticides or toxins for over 60 years. And it was probably longer than that, but that's what they use for certification. No irrigation use. So if they're in a drought, they're in a drought, and that's actually really good for the hydroxytyrosol because that's what keeps it'll make the leaves and the olives have more hydroxytyrosol than if it was raining a lot. So the fact that these are really hardy trees is really, really good for what we want to use them for. And another really interesting fact is that science has actually confirmed that hydroxytyrosol is one of the best protectors that we have in the human cell. So when you start looking at all the different supplements that have that, but then obviously olive tree people's supplements, it's our internals as well as skincare, it makes complete sense that people are seeing the results that they're seeing.
Yeah, exactly. And you mentioned some aspects of the quality already, certified organic, the quality of the trees. What's the big difference between EU regulation and United States? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot, but like if you could summarize those so people kind of get the gist of why that's
Absolutely.
important.
Yeah. So EU outlaws 4,041 ingredients. And then within that, there's 661 ingredients that has a maximum concentration that's allowed. So even if it's a ingredient that might be like in the US, we might have been told like you absolutely don't want this in there. That's typically because companies would be using max amount. So it's fascinating because like you, I read labels and there were some red flags with some of the labeling that I was like, okay, what is this? Why do they have this in here? Like I try to avoid that typically. And the response I got, it you got to be a chemist, right? Like if a certain amount of this mixes with this at lower doses, it doesn't matter. But at higher is when it causes problems. And people will say, yeah, over time, but like it's so minimal, it's like almost non-existent, right? Um, but so I think that's a huge point, knowing if you're looking off EU regulations versus US regulations. And for example, like fragrance, right? Perfume, if that is in the US, that's a loophole. People are adding in their secret sauce to that and could have a lot of hormone disruptors in there, right? Not all companies, but a lot of companies. In the US, that means that you have essential oils or it's part of the composition of the scent
You mean in
from
the
whatever
EU?
products. What's that?
You mean in the EU?
Oh yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, that in the EU. I'm sorry. Yeah, so that's a huge difference, right, between the US and in Europe. So when a company like Olive Tree People and Oliveda, they're coming from Europe to the US, so they have to follow Europe guidelines. If it was the opposite, US um going in, they would still have to follow European guidelines because they're stricter and they're not going to allow anything to happen. So, there's a lot more in depth, and I think it's like 60 plus pages about the guidelines that European products follow. It's called Annex 2 that I'm happy to send anybody that has questions. Our organization also has a breakdown of any type of ingredient that you see on our packaging, where it's sourced from and what it is. And just in general, we never use synthetic ingredients. So there's never going to be a synthetic fragrance. And it's also really neat to note that our essential oils, like you had mentioned, you're pretty sensitive with it. They're naturally extracted through cold pressing and water distillation of the flowers, fruits, shells, and other plant parts. And I really love that Thomas, when he can, he uses scents, and he uses just even ingredients in some of the products that synergistically grow near the olive trees because they work in unison with each other, which I just absolutely love. And I do think too, coming back to the labeling, there's something, and we have a couple of videos like you had mentioned prior to us getting on this, that, you know, people are like, I don't even know what, is it Leaping Bunny for like no testing on animals? Is that the certification in the US? I think
I
it's
know
Leaping.
there's a bunny involved. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I see that. I see it, but I believe it's Leaping Bunny or something bunny certification. And companies in the US will use that labeling to show that they do no animal testing. Well, it's been illegal for over 10 years in Europe for animal testing. So they don't need that certification. And so I just think it's really understanding the labeling between the US and Europe for sure.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, totally agree. And that's something I've gone through with a couple other my companies that I've worked with that
Mhm.
or maybe international, and they have all these other certifications that are harder to get
Yeah,
than like United States
right.
certifications. So it's like you don't even need those because they're coming from other countries.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, awesome. So next I want to kind of go into, you mentioned there's Oliveda and then there's Ladope, and then there's internals. So what's the difference between all of the different products underneath that umbrella Olive Tree People?
Yeah, awesome. So we have olive tree people, and like you mentioned, we have Oliveda, and in Oliveda we have two different lines. We have a black label, um, so something like this, the black label, and that is just part of our olive tree therapy. The numbers on the label are lower because that was the first line that was created, probably. So, and B stands for body, 14 is the number that it was created. So this was the 14th product in the line. And then the other label, I don't have anything right out here, but it is a gold label. And so that is our corrective line. The difference is the gold label has more hydroxytyrosol in it, which is stronger. And I will warn people because we'll get a lot of, and it's seems to be a lot of 30-something-year-olds that probably just need just a little bit of skincare, probably just a set skincare routine. But they're like, I want all the anti-aging, and they get the corrective line, and it's too strong for them, right? Like I feel like you have to kind of ease into some of these products because they're potent. It's 70% olive leaf extract or elixir. And so with that, it's going to be strong. So that is our olive beta line. LA Dope is essentially, I think they have 9 products. They might have a few more, but it's essentially the olive tree therapy line with infused hemp that come from Netherlands and Sweden. And this is actually kind of neat because Thomas's son is big in the hemp industry in LA. So this is kind of like their little sub baby together. And I got to meet him in the beginning of June in LA. So that was fun to be able to engage with him a little bit. So they like to talk about how you have two powerful plants merged together in a skincare. And the LA Dope line is fantastic for any sensitive skins. If I knew better, Amanda, I probably would have pushed you in that direction to start because I knew that people with sensitive skin could handle that, but I didn't. LA Dope wasn't even on my radar at that
Yeah.
point. I knew it was there, but I was like, I just kind of want to get to know Oliveda. And so we have that. And then we have internals that are part of Oliveda. It's still under the umbrella of Oliveda. And the internals are amazing. We have the IO1, which is the first product that was developed. It's olive leaf extract with camu. So you talk about a bang for your immune system. And then we have hyaluron and hydroxytyrosol. So you think plumping of the skin, and that's what they're calling the beauty molecule. And then we also have collagen and the hydroxytyrosol. What we're kind of finding out is the hydroxytyrosol is like, and we've talked about it through this whole episode, right? that's the magic sauce. And so
Yeah.
now when you mix the hyaluron or you mix the collagen, they're going to be pulled deeper into your cells. And like we're all experiencing after the collagen, like I've had other collagen where my hair would grow, but it was still really thin. Now my hair is just so full. Like every time I go to the hairdresser, she's like, can your hair stop growing? Like you need to come see me sooner because you need a trim. Like, well, technically I don't need a trim, but she knows I like to keep it a certain length. But so that is all under the Oliveda umbrella. And LA Dope. I kind of talked about LA Dope.
Mhm.
I kind of merged those two together. Then we have LA Dope. We have Olive Mush, which was kind of its own brand, but it's being pulled in under Oliveda too. And that is beautiful. It's like a dirty chai. I don't know if you've tried it yet, but it's a
No,
dirty
it
chai.
keeps being sold out.
Yeah, it sells out fast. I like it a little bit more for like fall, winter. But it's definitely a dirty chai. I love the fact that you don't have to worry about the sugar or Splenda. Like you control the sweetness that you want. I will say you probably want some sweetness because olive leaf is bitter. And so is like some of the regular ingredients that they have in there. But if you like bitter, then drink it black and it dissolves nicely. Like I've had some of these other replacements that have similar ingredients, but it doesn't dissolve. And once you're finished, there's like your 2 tablespoons is still sitting at
Yeah.
the bottom, right? And so you only need like a teaspoon mixed in with some hot water. It's a fantastic product. So we have olive mush. And then we have Reconnect, which we'll be launching at some point. It was launched and then it was brought back, but it's kind of part of an off branch of we have sound baths and meditation. And so we have a monthly subscription for you can do live sound baths or sorry, meditation. You could do the recorded classes for meditation, or you can listen to sound baths at different frequencies and it runs. And we can probably hold off on talking about these in depth, but I do know your followers understand frequencies and like bioenergetics and so forth. But what's cool about this, and I got to see it when I was in Spain in the groves, is that they have the trees hooked up to dendrometers collecting the sounds of the tree. So if you go click on our website, you can hear they say talking trees, you can hear the trees and depending on where they are will give you that energy. So if you click on it first thing in the morning, that's when the trees, well, first thing in the morning in Spain, that's when the trees are waking up. And so that's going to energize you more. If it's in the evening as the sun's starting to set, the frequency will slow down. And so what they're finding is that, and I've noticed this, I'm big, like one of my number one client protocol recommendations is listen to frequency music. Like I used to just say, hey, YouTube, HZ frequencies, find what resonates with you and listen to it, right? 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I loved it. With ours, it switches fast and I can hear it and my mood changes and swap. So I just think it's more powerful because it's not choreographed and
Yeah.
made in like a computer. I don't know the proper technology, but you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
not DJ'd up. It's actually like
Right.
sound frequency. So I really, really like that. When I'm in nature, I don't feel like I need it as much, but definitely being home and being in the city, it's I have it on all day long and I love it.
Yeah.
So that
It does sound very different than anything you can find on YouTube. It's like
yeah.
almost like a very like warm blanket
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
you
Yep.
do, it's very different.
And
Yeah.
I love it. And for anybody that listens to this, currently we have 2 trainings a week from our um a lady who is a meditation instructor, but she's also in charge of education. So she breaks down, excuse me, she breaks down the frequencies and lets people know what this might be good for or where you might feel this. And those calls are really great and they're open to the public as well. So if you're not a consultant and you want to listen, we can arrange that as well. But I always tell people try it, right? Just like anything else, it's like spaghetti, throw it against the wall. If it sticks, perfect. If it doesn't, we're good. We don't need to use that anymore. But give it an honest try. And I tried it back in the fall and I've had a membership ever since. So I really, really enjoy them. And then the really exciting thing is in October, we are launching they're calling it a no makeup olive rose, which is really special because it's the brainchild of Thomas's 19-year-old daughter and him. And it's interesting. And I talked to Thomas about this in June, that he's coming out with makeup because that was a question we asked back in the fall. And he goes, I will never do makeup. And that's what evolved in this last year. And he goes, isn't it funny, Jen? I said no makeup and now we have makeup. And I go, I thought I heard that. And he goes, no, I didn't have any desire, but she educated me and helped me learn that what people were putting on top of their skin was causing a lot of the problems that they're having with their skin. And so we're really looking forward to that launch. And you're going to have the hydroxytyrosol to be able to put on your skin. So I think that's going to touch people that maybe might not be interested in the skincare. Hopefully they'll enjoy some of the makeup and be able to branch off into that. So those are, I don't think I missed any of them, but those are kind of our little branches. And um, the olive rose will be up on our website here soon.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. It was a huge struggle to find a makeup line that not only worked, but the one I'm using now like is pigmented with fruits. But of course, added layer of
Yep.
hydroxytyrosol, that's going to be really exciting.
Right. Yeah. And, I'm looking forward to it because I'm not much of a makeup person, but I still like to
Mhm.
put some on. In a brand that I used to use, I find is now stinging quite a bit. And so
Mhm.
just to know that hydroxytyrosol will be the base, I think will be really nice. Although I do find a lot of the people that are using olive tree people aren't using makeup anymore. They're like, I just need a good mascara. Thank you. So yeah, I think that'll be really good. And you talk about finding makeup that has the hydroxytyrosol in it. It's just like the other products. There was a call a few weeks ago. So every week our founder hops on a call and talks to us about some things. And he's blown away by the popularity of the F59, which
Yes.
are Botox in a bottle. So our non-tox Botox basically. And he's blown away by it, but he's not. But he informed us, he's like, okay, so let me back up. Botox in a bottle, the F59, it's not even called Botox in a bottle. It's like
Right.
face corrective face. We'll just leave it at that. Um, it has the secret sauce is the hydroxytyrosol, of course, and then the paracress. And the paracress is a flower. They used to use it to numb the mouth when you're doing dental work and back in, you know, whatever ages. And so that helps neutralize the wrinkles in your facial muscles. But obviously, if you don't use the product, it's going to come back. If you use the product consistently over time, they're going to diminish and that effect's going to last longer. But Thomas informed us that there's plenty of other products that had used Paracrest before. For me, I had never heard of Paracrest, and I've been in the clean beauty industry for a while. So I thought that was a pretty fascinating product. But these other products aren't seeing the results that we're seeing. And we truly believe it's because of the hydroxytyrosol. The
Right.
merging of them is just making that product super effective for a lot of people.
Yeah, I had never heard of it either. So
Mhm.
it was news to me. And there are more products even under the Oliveda that have the Paracrest as well, because the F59 tends to sell out pretty quickly.
Super fast. Yeah, the
Yeah.
F64 is the one for the eyes.
Mhm.
People ask me, well, can I use the F59 on the eye area? I wouldn't. The eye area is super sensitive, and the F64 actually is a little bit. I, I think there's some hyaluron in it. And if there's not hyaluron, there's something that makes it not as sticky. So it's soother around the eye. So I would definitely use the F64 around the eyes instead of the F59. And then there's two in the LA Dope line as well that has the Paracrest. So yeah, so if F59 sold out, that's okay. We got you. We got some other ones. I think that's important to touch on. Currently, we grew so fast in this last year that we're selling out of products, but we're getting products in daily and weekly. And there's always something that you can still get. We get free shipping over $50. So you could order one product and get the free shipping when it's in stock and then get another one. But we did have to raise our production by 500%. First it was 300%. Now it's 500%. We should be seeing the fruits of that, no pun intended, the olive fruit, in August. But what was super cool, and again, it just comes down to Thomas being super intentional, is he wants these products to be as fresh as possible. So he wants to make sure that the products are produced every 3 months versus having a warehouse full in Germany and then shipping the products. So we're just, kind of on the seesaw balance, trying to figure out how many products we actually need. Our warehouse is big, sustainable. Some of the products he has enough in stock, he believes, until November. I believe we're going to challenge that because every month continues to be a record-breaking month and the growth has been insane. But the products, if it's sold out, it'll be back within a week or two or three. Hopefully nothing too fast, but you just got to be fast on it.
Yeah, they definitely come back in stock pretty quickly. So that is at least appreciated. So yeah, F59 is one that I have, and I actually like it the best of any of the ones that I've tried. Not just for, wrinkles, and because I don't really have a lot of those forehead wrinkles that a lot of people my age have for whatever reason, knock on wood. But just the lightness of it. I like the texture of that one a little bit better. The one I was using before is F06, which seems to be one that a lot of people are also getting based on their the skincare quiz results, which I really appreciate that they have the skincare quiz, because again, it's pretty overwhelming to see all those different products and wonder which one is right. So let's talk about F06 for a second. Why is that one a really common first start for people?
Yeah, because it's really good for cell turnover. And so with the cell turnover, I think that's showing that you're getting really good texture changes. And so I think a lot of people need that increase in cell turnover, is my assumption to why people need that.
Sorry, it cut out a little bit when you first started talking.
Oh, it did?
Yeah, so
yeah. Did you get any of that, or?
Yeah, after you started saying about really good for cell turnover.
Yeah, I echoed what you said, that it was really good for cell turnover. It shows up on a lot of people's quizzes, and it was on mine as well, and it's one that I still use to today. But I don't know why, besides the fact that it's good for cell turnover, and I'm just assuming that everybody needs it at some point to try to help with like the texture and the tone. And you think about it, I think we don't do a good enough job with treating our skin the way we're supposed to with a set regimen to help, with that cell turnover. So it's a nice little one to add in.
Yeah, it makes sense, because I mean, my questions on that quiz was like very damaged, very stressed skin, very sensitive. And that was the product that basically was like, this is a really good start if you have that really inflamed, very sensitive, maybe even skin issues like acne, oily, eczema. I put eczema prone, all of those answers kind of them. Yeah.
Yeah, I put sensitive skin too, and I think that probably flags that a little bit. The neat thing about the Olive Brain quiz, we talked a little bit about the frequencies, and they infuse the in the back and the frequency to the Olive Brain quiz with the frequencies from the olive trees. And so I don't know if that helps, but I do find the quiz results to be very dead on for a lot of the recommendations.
Yeah. And do you have any other products that are really popular or the ones that people tend to really love the most?
I think the F64, like we had mentioned, around the eye, which is a free product if you buy 2 products from the quiz. So that's a cool way to start your eye care regimen. That one's super popular. The vitamin C is amazing. Actually, you'll probably see there's a video out there. If you have a really good vitamin C, you can put it in water that has iodine in it and it'll clear that water up. And so there's a video showing that, which is super neat. Vitamin C is really good. I love the HA. I think it's F83. That is magic sauce. Like, you go to bed and you wake up and it's like you woke up with a filter on your face. Like, so if you're starting to break out or just had a couple rough days, you put that on, and then the next day it's golden. So that one took me a while to go to it. We also have 3 really good green retinols, and I do want to back up a little bit. Some people with the F59, like you had mentioned, they're getting rid of their wrinkles up top. It's reduced mine really good. Mine are really deep. I'm very an expressional person. And I've never done any Botox or used any ingredients that would be harmful beside, except for when I was a teenager in my early 20s too. Like, I was St. Ives queen, but um, mixing the F59 with our green retinol is super beneficial to help plump up those areas. So that's what I'm going to be trying next with it. But because I have sensitive skin, I like to go, my skin likes less instead of more. So I need to go slowly with that one, but gonna
Yeah.
try this. But three really good retinol alternatives as well. That's
Yeah.
super
So
popular.
what's the difference between green retinol and regular retinol?
Green retinol, you're just using plant botanicals to get similar effects of the retinol. So we have a kahai, which comes from a nut. Um, I think it's an Amazon nut. And then we have, I'm going to butcher it, bachukiol, which is a flower. And then I forget where I think our third one is a blend of those 2.
Mhm.
Green retinol is a blend, maybe.
Perfect. I
Double check
just
that one.
purchased one of those, but again, same with you. I'm like, let me just use these for a little bit and
Mhm.
then in like a month, I'll give it a try.
Yeah, I have a colleague like myself who couldn't use them at first, and she's waited about 6 months, and now she can do about 1 drop every day. Um, I muscle tested, so we got it
Mhm.
in for about three weeks at that level, and her skin's reacted beautifully to it. So I do think if you start olive tree people, some people do great with a full regimen, no problem, beautiful skin, perfect. But other people, they may have some sensitivities, or they might purge a lot, or it's okay to back down and continue through slowly. And I always tell people, if you don't get the results that you're hoping for, you just got to mix them. There's so many beautiful products, but they're so bioactive that what works for you might not work for me, and vice versa. And so I think it's just playing around. We also have beautiful, like an F10. I kind of brought up St. Ives when I was a teenager. I use St. Ives twice a day. I'm like, how am I using a face exfoliator twice a day? I don't know, but the F10 is the olive cord. So it uses the bits of the core of the olive as a physical exfoliator, and your face is left so moisturized afterwards. It is such a beautiful product. So I love using that one. And then we have beautiful masks, just kind of depending on what you have going on. We have a blemish control that's great for redness and acne prone. We have the honey enzymes, which is an enzymatic kind of, it has papaya in it, papaya seeds, I believe. And so it helps the turnover of that. We have olive matcha mask. And then we also have a black olive, which is super hydrating. So especially in the summertime, after a day in the sun, using that mask to really just kind of saturate the moisture back in your face feels great. So I love having those to be able to blend in with it.
Mhm.
One thing I do want to say, a toner is worth every penny because you tone, you prep your skin, it helps the serums pull in deeper, and you actually use less of our serums and elixirs if you have a toner. So that was a step I did not believe in at first, and now I value it extremely.
Which one's the toner?
We have two. We have a corrective toner, and then we have, I want to say, like an activating toner.
Yeah, I've never used a toner either. I am not a skincare girl, so that's why
Yeah.
it's kind of funny.
Like that's one more step. People are just spraying their face, right? Like, I'm like, I'm not fancy like that. I'm in my van, but yeah, I didn't bring my toner to Spain, and I couldn't believe how much F59 and F06 I had to use to get that same feeling on my skin. So saved me a lot more money if I got the toner.
Got it. Yeah, I'll have to look into that. Yeah, before this, after dealing with skin issues, was using literally two different things. One was a peptide, and one was, I think, the only moisturizer that I could ever tolerate. And before I got sick, my friends used to joke about me sleeping in my makeup. Like, I never washed my face. I don't think I ever owned a face wash. So if you are late to the game, like I was with skincare, there's hope for you.
Hey, I tell you, full disclosure, it's hard sometimes to get my face washed at night, or
Yeah.
sometimes it's like 11 o'clock in the morning before I wash my face again, It is what it is. I'm trying to be better, and I do notice if I'm better, more consistent, I get better results. So, I try to remind myself. But yes, like you said, if you're late to the game, there's definitely hope for you with this for sure.
Yeah, and natural. Everyone these days is getting fillers and Botox, and the last thing I would ever do is inject a chemical like that or a biotoxin into my face after what my poor face went through. So it feels like Oliveda or olive tree people really came at a time where people need an alternative, especially these poor young people who are starting Botox at like 20 years old, 22, because with Botox, it is not preventing the wrinkle. It's preventing you from moving the nerve. So when it
Right.
wears off, your face still has the wrinkle. Whereas with these products, it's also treating the skin with this very high level of polyphenols and antioxidants so that the actual skin is healthier after. So
Absolutely.
great alternative.
Yeah, awesome alternative. And I echo the fact that it's come at a great time because Botox is so normalized, and it's driving
Exactly.
me crazy, right? Like all these health and wellness places open up and they're advertising for Botox. And in my opinion, people need to do themselves, but in my opinion, that is one of the furthest things away from like a healthy lifestyle. And yeah, I
Yeah,
digress. Because
exactly.
we could definitely get into that, but it came at the right time. And like you said, I think it allows us as females and allows me, as I'm postmenopausal, I have been in menopause for 8 years because of a hysterectomy. My skin aged drastically. Estrogen, no doubt, helps with skin and the aging of the skin. And being postmenopausal, I needed something, and I think I found my golden grail. At least I'm completely content with it and love that I have different options. And your skin changes in the seasons too, right? Like or depending on where you live, you might need some different things. We've been traveling a lot. Obviously, I'm in my van, and when we're spending time in certain areas, it is desert-like environment. And I have different products that I use them when I'm here in San Diego or, back home in Kansas. Like there's a lot more humidity than in the middle of the desert or in Colorado or, so I do value the fact that we have a lot of products, but like you said, it's overwhelming. So I do think starting with the quiz is a great place to start to at least get your foot in the door and feel comfortable about the products.
Right. And because it's direct marketing, you can reach out to me or you and ask questions as opposed to waiting for, chatbot from a company. Like, which one should I choose? Which one do you think
Right.
would work for
Yeah.
me? You're actually talking to real people who have experienced them and have
Mhm.
used them themselves. And they've talked to multiple people usually that have had success with XYZ. So it's a little bit more personal that way too.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the good thing is if they do the quiz, you'll get an email that they got the quiz. So you should be hearing from Amanda or myself, depending on whose quiz you do. And, but if you don't hear from us, always reach out. We're always available to answer questions. And, maybe you get results and you might not want to try that, or you really want to try the F59, but it didn't come up. Should you try it? So I do think there's some things with that. One other product that I didn't bring up that I think is like golden is the lip balm. The stuff is
Yes.
beautiful. And it does have a little castor oil too. So I always love it because it's like a little plumping when you put it on. And it's like, oh, all right, that works. And my husband actually was starting to get a cold sore. And I made him use this. And yes, I made him because he wanted to do it on his own. And the cold sore was gone in 2 days. And I was
Oh,
like,
beautiful.
only with like minimal, like he didn't put it on very often because he doesn't like using anything. So he was like, wow, that worked. I'm like, no
Of course it
surprise.
did. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm not surprised anymore. It's my first go-to with it all, which is good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and actually I forgot to mention I'm wearing lipstick today. I don't think I've worn lipstick well, I started recently because
Mhm.
I was going through topical steroid withdrawal. One of the products I used was a medication called Protopic, which I used on my lips when I first started getting sick, like all of 2018, maybe 2020. And so my lips were the last thing to heal. And one of the areas that is now fully healed after starting these products is my lips. They're no longer very, very
Wow.
dry and peeling.
Oh,
So that's why I wear the lipstick today.
yeah, I love it. I love that you can do that. Oh, that's such a great testament.
Yeah, I love that lip gloss. I put it on every night before bed.
Love it. Yeah. Yeah, I use it all day long. And at night. It's my only one that I have. So,
Yeah,
or that
well, I'm just saying I don't even need the chapstick before lip gloss or anything that I was
yeah.
like addicted to because my lips were so dry and they would crack still.
Mhm.
So I don't even need it anymore.
That's awesome. So good.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you, Jen, so much for joining me. I think we covered a lot of information for people to really get a feel for why this company is blowing up so fast. Is there anything else you wanted to add or let people know where to find you?
Yeah, I just looked through my notes. I think we touched upon everything, so that's good. I'm definitely a note taker and then try to organize some thoughts. But yeah, I'm on Instagram. I'm very active in my stories, not so active in my actual feed. I kind of got bored with posting stories with or posting in my feed, but maybe that'll start back up here soon. But I'm at Be Vibrant, so the letter B and the word vibrant, no BE, it's just Be Vibrant. And just send me a DM. I'm always happy to respond.
Perfect. And we'll put that in the notes too.
Awesome.
All right, Jen. Well, thank you so much again. This has been really insightful, and I'm really looking forward for all of the people who hopefully will try these products and finally find a skincare that won't break them out or will actually work for them and give them the results that so many other skincare brands market and don't deliver.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to throw in one thing because I did remember one thing and I think it's super important. And so I know you had a great closing line, but I'm going to throw this in there.
Oh, yeah, no worries.
Also have it's called mouth oil cure, but it's oil pulling with
Mm,
the products. And I love that because we cover all three microbiomes, right? Like our oral microbiome, our gut, and our skin. And so I love the fact that we have products to help with all three because as you go down the health rabbit hole, you need all three of them to be on track. And so I want to throw that in there that is what we have thought of.
Oh yeah, we could probably be here for 4 hours talking about each amazing product and
Yeah. But I just
why
thought it
it's
was
different.
important for the oral microbiome, for
Oh
people to
yeah.
realize that it's an important piece of your health. And I went through a lot of dental surgeries and still going through it. It's just nice to be able to have a product. I tried coconut oil to pull and I gagged every single time. It was just the consistency wasn't right. So I'm just happy that I found one. Plus, I know what it does internally and on my skin. So I'm happy that it's in my mouth. And you're right, we could spend another 2 hours talking about everything, but I'm glad that we were able to catch up on this. And thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. My pleasure. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to this episode. And I hope you have a wonderful afternoon. Thanks. Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone. I am just so thrilled that you're listening to the Healer Revolution podcast. This has been a huge passion project for me and super therapeutic on top of that, helping me to use my voice and connect with other like-minded individuals. So if you're enjoying the podcast, please like and subscribe. Please share on social media or with your audience or friends or loved ones. I truly appreciate it. It does take a lot of time and financial costs to run the podcast, and it is not a moneymaker, let me tell you. So if you are enjoying this, I would truly appreciate your support just by sending me a post, a like, and a subscribe. Thank you so much.